Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Middle Guy back again. And today I want to talk about a new approval rating that's out for the Democrat Party from a CNN poll. It's really, really bad, and the way the Democrat Party is going, it's only going to get worse. When you're pushing Jasmine, Crockett, Cumbrellas, and AOC as new faces of the party, you're in serious trouble. But let's go to the CNN video here, and we'll look at this. Horrific numbers, Harry Enton on voters' approval levels of Democrats in Congress.
We took our fan favorite Little Caesars Crazy Puffs and made them even better with bacon. They'll make...
Of course, they're going to run some stupid ad right now, but this is going to be very interesting getting into these numbers here and seeing exactly where the Democrat Party is, because they're in some serious trouble. And they still don't, for some reason, they still don't understand that they should be moving more to the center, but instead they're going hard left. Hard left.
Pizza. You know, I'm a big fan of the oldies, and when it comes to the feelings that Americans, voters at large, and Democrats have, I can't help but think of Chubby Checker. Why is that? Because the question is, how low can you go? Voters' views of Democrats in Congress, the
Obviously
lowest ever
low.
approval ratings on record per Quinnipiac University.
That's
Look
crazy.
At this. Approve 21% among all.
Let's just pause this for a second. Okay, among all voters, their approval rating is 21%. Among Democrat voters, it's 46%. You'll see when he moves his paw there out of the way. 68% of all voters disapprove. 49% of Democrats, registered Democrats, disapprove of the Democrats in Congress. So let's let this run here.
Look at the disapprove level. Holy Toledo.
Holy Toledo. What a play.
68% of all voters disapprove of how Democrats are doing in Congress. Now, you might think that is low.
I mean, honestly, is this a surprise, though? Is anyone surprised by these numbers? I'm not. I'm surprised they're that high.
And this is the lowest number on your screen here, down at 21%. But I want to bring you over here to how Democratic voters feel, because
Terrible.
this is truly unbelievable. Amongst their own party, how do Democratic representatives, senators, how are they viewed? Get this, the plurality disapprove at 49%. More Democrats disapprove of the job that their party is doing in Congress than approve. Get this, only 40% approve. These are truly horrific numbers.
No
They're
kidding.
in the trash bin of history. That is how low
That's where
these
the
approval
Democrat
ratings
Party
are.
is
When
right
you
now,
can't
in the
even
trash
get
bin.
plurality approval among your own party, you know you're doing something wrong in the eyes of the American public, Justin.
Exactly.
You're in the trash bin of history. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do Democrats
That's what he said,
then
Jessica.
want out of their congressional Democrats?
Yeah, what do Democrats want from their own party, right?
Yeah.
Do they want them to agree with Trump more, or do they want them to oppose Trump more? Okay, Democrats in Congress oppose Trump too often, just 4%. How about the right amount?
And see, this number to me is crazy, because all they do is oppose everything Trump does. I mean, Trump could cure cancer, and they'd be like, well, he didn't cure AIDS. He's a bigot. He hates the gays. I guarantee it would be some shit like that. So this I don't understand. Like, how else are they supposed to oppose? And they literally oppose everything he's doing. Is it just because they voted through the CR bill? You know what I mean? I wish they would put more context on this.
Just 19%. How about not enough? You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that this is the largest number on your screen.
No, yeah.
77% of Democratic voters say that their party in Congress does not oppose Donald Trump nearly enough. So you might be thinking to yourself, with this shutdown that did not actually happen, where the Democrats gave Trump and the Republicans the votes,
Are they just talking to far leftists? I don't understand.
I can tell you with pretty much no doubt that their party, at least in the American public, does not like that. They want them to fight Trump more. When you get 77% of your own party agreeing on something, you know that is the direction that they wish their representatives and
How much more could you fight him? They're fighting him literally on everything.
senators in Congress in Washington actually went.
These people are insane.
Interesting. And had there been a government shutdown, would it have hurt Democrats among all voters?
Right. So we're talking
That's
about
the big
the
question.
Yeah, that's the big question, right? Because amongst Democrats, we know that they wanted their representatives and senators in Washington to fight Trump more. But what about the entire public? Because sometimes there's disagreements between those two sides, right? And if perhaps they had forced a shutdown or they had not given Republicans the votes, that might have actually been something bad amongst the overall public, right? That might have backfired amongst the overall public. But in this particular case, I think the Democratic base was in the right position here, at least when it comes to the American public. Because take a look here. Blame for a government shutdown. Just 32% of voters would have blamed the Democrats in Congress. Look at this.
Let's see, hold on.
53% would have
We're going
said
to pause
Trump.
this right here for a second. Because if you look down at the bottom, it says 22% said Trump and only 31% said the GOP in Congress. So more people still would have blamed the Democrats in Congress, but they combined this number to make themselves look better, which is ridiculous. And that's kind of undermining the poll. Why didn't they separate them?
Or the Republicans in Congress. Democrats would not have been blamed for a shutdown based upon the numbers that we have seen. Now, an actual shutdown might have played out a little bit differently, but at least on the polling data that we have, Jessica, everything was saying that Democrats should not give in to Trump and the Republicans in Congress. They should have, in fact, taken a stand.
But that's not true, because your own poll is saying only 22% would have blamed Trump, 31% would have blamed the GOP in Congress, 32% would have blamed the Democrats in Congress. So this really had nothing to do with Trump at all. Trump doesn't get a vote on this. He just signs it if it gets passed. So more people would have blamed the Democrats than the GOP in Congress. But they don't want to run with that number because this is the only saving grace they have for the Democrat Party. And this is why nobody trusts the mainstream media anymore.
It's because that's what their base wanted, and the American public would have sided with them as well.
It's not what their base wanted.
The bottom line
it
is
shows you that right there.
And Trump would have been blamed in this.
No, that's not true. If you separate them or if you combine them, yes, but not when you separate them. No, and Trump didn't get a vote on this, so I don't even know why he would be blamed. But I want to go over here to this video of Cumbrellas Crockett here with Jake Tapper. It's horrible. And we'll get into her reaction to the favorability of the Democrat Party hitting all-time lows.
That's a quote. That's how a Democratic lawmaker was describing the Democratic Senate vote with Republicans this weekend to fund the government with a Republican funding bill, averting a government shutdown, but there was virtually no fight and nothing achieved for Democratic priorities. This comes as our brand new
for
CNN
Democrats.
poll
They never achieve
this morning
anything.
shows that the Democratic Party's favorability.
Look at that. 29%. That's for the whole Democrat Party. The last poll was Congress. This is for the whole Democrat Party.
Is at an all-time low in this CNN poll. It's just 29%.
Who's surprised by that? I'm surprised that 3 in 10 people think are favorable, or they're favorable. It's ridiculous. Everything they're doing is destroying our country. Everything. Look at the last 4 years. It's made everything, literally everything is worse.
Approval, that's a 20-point drop since 2021. Joining us now is a Congresswoman from
Cumbrellas Crockett.
Texas, Jasmine Crockett.
She must have the strongest eyelids in the world to be able to fucking lift those up like that. Holy shit.
Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you squeezing us in before you go to church. This has been a rough 72 hours for Democrats. I want to play some of what Democratic Senate
Goes to church as she supports abortion.
Senate Leader Schumer told me on The Lead on Friday about his decision to vote with the Republicans to fund the government. Take a listen.
A government shutdown gives Donald Trump, Elon
MAGA Chuck,
Musk, and Doge almost complete power as to what to close down, because they can decide what is an essential service. If they determine that SNAP, kids shouldn't get food, is not essential, they can just cut it out summarily.
But here's my question to Mr. Schumer here. Why was none of this talked about until it came up to the deadline to vote, and then all of a sudden you did a complete 180 on everything that you were saying before this? Why?
Could fire half the workers in the federal government, it would have been a far worse consequence.
So he's saying that the
He's an
path
idiot.
that House
The whole Democrat Party is a bunch of idiots.
Democrats wanted would have presented a worse consequence. Is he wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. I mean, look at the reality of the votes, right? I understand that the American people are frustrated. Please believe many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators the importance of pushing back in this moment. And as you saw, we had all but one.
Yeah, sure she didn't sleep.
One Democrat in the House that voted for this, so that's 212 Democrats in the House. And then you had
So it passed.
vast majority of senators vote for it or vote against it as well. And so
but it still passed.
So the idea that Chuck Schumer is the only one that's got a brain in the room and the only one that can think through all of the pros and cons is absolutely ridiculous. And Jake, you and I both know that this administration could care less about whether or not they violate the law. We know that we've had to rely.
What are we talking about the law? No one's talking about the law. Why are you bringing up nonsense over here that has nothing to do with the topic at hand? This is why you guys keep losing elections.
Heavily upon the courts, and I want to say, as you're talking about the polling on my party, I want to say that it is the Democratic attorney generals and some governors that are standing up against this administration and bringing those lawsuits and winning every single time.
That's a lie. You're not winning every single time. Stop lying. That's a blatant lie, and she knows it's a blatant lie.
They're losing.
But that's all she has.
In court, could we do a better job of making sure that the American people know that we are winning in the courts? We probably could, but at the end of
You're not winning in the courts, though. You're winning some. You're not winning them all. Stop it. Because otherwise you'd be bringing exact examples of when you won and what you're winning. You're not winning anything. Stop your lying.
the day, it's still Democrats that are winning for the American people.
Everything's gotten worse for the last 4 years when you guys were in charge. So you're not winning anything for the American people. Stop.
Some progressive groups are calling for new
Progressive. If progressive policies work, why aren't they working?
leadership in the Senate for Democrats. Even House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, your leader, he was asked if he supports Schumer as leader of the Senate, Democrats, and he said,
Timu Obama.
next question. Do you think Senate Democrats
Yeah, because if he says no, he knows his political career is over with.
should replace Chuck Schumer?
I think Senate Democrats have to sit down and take a look and decide whether or not Chuck Schumer
She's not going to answer that question because she won't be funded in her next election.
is the one to lead in this moment.
You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio.
Oh, God. AOC, always on crack. The woman under investigation.
Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get
I hope she does. I really hope she does challenge him. And then when she loses, we'll be done with her.
behind that?
That's 4 years from now.
And of course, she doesn't want to say it. She does her nervous laugh like, oh, shit, don't put me on the spot. I can't actually answer a question. How dare you?
If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections in.
There they go with this if we'll have elections anymore. That's so old and tired, and you still don't understand why you lost. Rhetoric like that is why you lost the election. It's why Kamala lost, because of bullshit like that. Just stop. They're so stupid they can't even get out of their own
I
way.
definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what
Not when you're stupider.
part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
Not when the candidate is stupider.
How to take on the Republicans is a big topic of discussion among Democrats. Last week, you were...
Here's your answer. Go more towards the center. Stop pulling hard left. That's why you're losing. The majority of the country isn't a bunch of lunatics.
one of those who participated in a Choose Your Fighter
Oh, God, this was the most cringe thing ever.
video. It got some criticism online, including Democratic Senator John Fetterman called it bizarre and reportedly mocked it in the
That's very bizarre. He's right.
Senate hallway. I will say that your punching looked better than some of your colleagues. Fetterman has been criticizing
Jake Tapper's a jackass.
your party for undignified antics and a sad cavalcade of cell phones during the president's address to Congress. What's your response to Senator Fetterman?
He's not the one to talk about anything. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't seemingly want to own a suit. I'm not really sure. But I don't show up.
So wait a second. Asking Zelensky why he didn't wear a suit to the White House is somehow bullying him, but her calling out Fetterman for not wearing a suit is somehow acceptable. I didn't hear anybody talk about her saying this at all. That's so weird. And there's another reason the Democrats keep losing. The hypocrisy is just at the point of disgust now. It's disgusting. The blatant hypocrisy the Democrat Party runs on is disgusting.
In hoodies when I'm going on the floor. And so the idea that you would say that we could not have a moment in which an influencer asked us to do this. Now,
Well, if an influencer asked you to pose naked, would you? I mean, who gives a shit what they asked you to do? Read the room, for Christ's sakes.
be perfectly honest with you and tell you that when she asked me to jump, I said, did you ask my older colleagues to do this? Because I feel like you're picking on me because you think that my knees are a little younger. And
Well, your Cumbrellas are probably too heavy. That was probably your problem, too.
I did not know who all was in this particular trend whatsoever.
But of course, your dumbass was like, well, I'll do it.
And I think that it is important that people see that we're real people. And even if that means that there's a moment.
Real people don't do stupid ass cringe shit like that online for attention.
And to laugh, that's okay.
Those are called thirsty whores.
Especially since it seems like we're doing more crying than anything. But just know.
Yeah, that's all you're doing is crying and whining and complaining.
That we were not on the House floor jumping around at all.
Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter where you're doing it. You still look stupid.
Whereas Senator Fetterman is consistently walking around the Senate chamber, and he is walking around in such a way that they literally had to change the
So why is she bullying him then? Why is she bullying him about it? I thought that was bullying if you ask somebody about what they're wearing.
the rules in the Senate so that he could walk around that way. So I just don't think that he's necessarily the
Yeah, and you guys let them change the rules. Everyone agreed to change the rules. So why is it a problem now? Why didn't you say anything at the time? That's so weird.
one to actually have an opinion about.
She doesn't actually attack what he said, or try to rebuff what he said. She attacks him on something that Democrats wanted and went along with and supported.
This.
Let me ask you about the big news of this morning. President Trump seeking to use the Alien Enemies Act, a wartime authority, a law signed by John Adams in 1798, to deport undocumented.
It's a law that was signed. What's the problem?
Venezuelans that the administration say are dangerous individuals with ties.
And by the way, they're not a gang. They've been labeled a terrorist organization. Huge difference.
To the gang Trend Aragua. That gang is obviously associated with a lot of crime,
They're a terrorist organization. Get it right, jackass.
Trafficking, drug dealing, theft, shootings, including in your state of Texas, right outside of your congressional district. Do you agree with this? And if not, what's your issue with the U.S. using any tool at its disposal to remove undocumented, violent people from this country?
This answer should be Rich.
Well, my argument is that we already have tools that are available to remove undocumented, violent people from our country. And so...
Yeah, and you guys are fighting against it, and this law is included in that. So why are you against using the laws on the books to get rid of dangerous people in our country that aren't even supposed to be here?
The idea that you want to go
Ridiculous.
into a zombie law, this is kind of like...
How is this? So is the Constitution a zombie law? What kind of argument is that? This is so stupid. I've literally never heard that before in my life until this right now. Unbelievable.
Like what we saw in Arizona when they decided to revive a zombie law.
A zombie law? You mean a law? How is it a zombie law? It's a law. It's on the books. Hasn't been changed. It's a law.
Around abortion, it is the fact that we can't trust this administration.
And why would she bring up abortion? We're not talking about abortion.
To actually use a scalpel, but instead they love to use a butcher knife on things. And so...
Adds absolutely no context. Gives exactly zero examples. Wonders why no one wants to vote for her party.
Giving them this wide latitude to just kind of go across and just claim that anybody is anything is wrong. And so we do have courts, we do have processes, we do have laws.
Yeah, exactly. And they're being followed. And you guys are fighting against it for some reason to keep criminal illegals in our country. And I don't understand it at all.
And we should just go ahead and use those. There's a reason that nobody else has decided to go back until into Adam's times in order to try to find ways to make sure that we can keep our country safe.
Oh, so we don't use the Constitution anymore? What a stupid fucking bitch you are, Cumbrellas. Let's go to this last video here about Mr. Timu Obama reacting to the Democrats' low favorability in recent polls. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not about the Democratic brand. This is about the American people and the folks whose health care is under assault. I think that the politics of this will take care of itself, right?
Okay.
And it'll take care of itself as early as next year.
It's taking care of
in the
itself.
midterm
That's
election.
why your favorability is so low.
But right now,
Your party sucks and you're a bunch of hypocrites, dude.
it's about stopping these extreme things from happening that are wildly inconsistent with what Donald Trump and Republicans were talking to the American people about last year. All last year, Donald Trump and Republicans were talking about they were going to drive down the high cost of living in the United States of America.
Yeah, and they're working on that. How long did it take to get it as high as it is?
And rebuild the economy.
And I thought prices were fine under Biden. What are you talking about? Everything was fine, and then Trump took office, and all of a sudden we're in recession, and all the prices are too high. That's so weird how they weren't for 4 years under Biden when they were rising, and inflation rose over 20% cumulatively. So weird.
Their words. And then they were running away from Project 2025 as if it didn't exist.
They never ran from it at all. Trump specifically said, this isn't my agenda. And it's not his agenda at all. So what the hell are you even talking about?
This year, they've done nothing to improve the economy, nothing to drive
You mean the economy that Democrats ruined? And way to address the question, too, by the way.
down the high cost of living in the United States of America. We believe that the cost of living is too high, and that
Suddenly they believe that. After 4 years of telling you, no, it wasn't. Inflation's transitory. Things aren't that expensive. The economy's doing great.
we have to lower housing costs and child care costs and the cost of groceries and insurance costs and utility costs.
You don't do that by over-regulating, which is all the Democrat Party does, is add regulation on top of regulations, making everything more expensive. And then they flood a bunch of goddamn money into it and make everything even more expensive.
We as Democrats want to work on that. Republicans have done
No,
nothing
you don't.
to improve
You've done nothing to improve anything. Only thing you've done is made things more expensive.
the economy. In fact, costs aren't going down, they're going up. Inflation is going up.
That's a lie. Inflation just went down.
And Donald Trump and the Republicans are crashing
Inflation just came in lower than expected. So I don't know what you're talking about.
the economy in real time.
Where's the economy crashing? Where? You come with no receipts and no evidence whatsoever at all. This is why your party approval rating is 29%, Timu Obama. You don't get it.
And potentially driving us toward a recession.
No, I thought we were nowhere near a recession under Biden. How did Trump do that in 2 months? It's so weird.
So they've done nothing on the economy,
That's a lie.
and everything we're seeing is all part of Project 2025,
Like what? Name something.
which they claimed didn't exist last year, and now they're trying to jam it down the throats of the American people. They lied to the American people. We're going to hold them accountable.
What'd they lie about? It's 2 months in, dude.
The politics will take care of itself.
You didn't even hold your own party accountable for lying. You hid Dementia Joe for 4 fucking years from us and said he was perfectly fine cognitively. He was great. He was sharp as ever. He could do the job. He worked out so hard, so long, did so much. And now all that's a lie. We know that's all a lie now. And you've just completely moved on and attempted to gaslight us on that. This is why your party approval rating is 29%.
But I'm very confident that next November, we're taking back control of the United States House of Representatives.
You're not. And see, he has no plan, so he's planning to fail. They're not going to take back anything. If anything, they're going to lose more seats. Just watch. Just watch.
You know, I think that the way that this has been constructed.
So he didn't actually answer the question at all. He just tried to blame Trump and the Republicans for things that have nothing to do with them, honestly. While the whole time he defended the prices and the inflation and the high cost of living under Biden, saying it wasn't that bad. These people are the biggest hypocrites. And this is why their approval rating is 29%. And I'm honestly surprised it's that high, like I said previously. But everybody, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Give me a like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on X at MiddleGuy7, and I will see everybody soon. Thank you.